When I just landed in New York, I wasn't actually mentally or physically prepared for this city. I almost give up, almost back to Taiwan.
New York is so crazy. It's a crazy city. I'm still trying to adapt into this culture because it's really, really different than where I come from. I'm still learning.
You need to hustle.
Yeah. New York, like, go, 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 go.
Having been lucky to have grown up in Brooklyn, there's so much beauty and openness in color and culture that when I moved to Boston, for a long time it felt like there were no other Black people. There were like a handful of people of color. I was lucky to be working at the bar. I would apply with my resume as a bartender and show up. Short hair, long hair, colorful hair, whatever, but I was still Black. I could be a server, maybe I could train at some point, but I couldn't be behind the bar. I couldn't be that face because it holds so much power anywhere, but it definitely holds a lot of power to be a bartender in Boston. It's strange. You can go into like any bar here and they're blasting Wu-Tang, blasting Kendrick Lamar, but you won't get served. Like, how, what? This makes no sense.
So around 5 years ago, randomly I bought a minivan, Volkswagen, and then turned into a bar, hit the road with faith. I used my old skateboard to build a bar and open the top and use a cooler, really simple setup, and I start making drink.
As a bartender, I'm not quite sure, how people would like our drink. So that was a kind of really good test round for us, so we just want to get a lot of feedback, how people would feel about it. Is it too sweet? Is it not sweet enough?
I would travel from East Coast to West Coast to whole Midwest. A lot of times actually fixing the car because the car is really old. It keeps breaking down.
And then we have a lot of up and downs, arguments. I don't talk to him for like 2 CDs.
I founded Bar Noir Boston because I was just looking for other Black bartenders in the city to begin with, people that I could identify with, that I could just trade war stories with, that I could maybe collaborate with. And what I was finding was just the way that many of us are absorbing the knowledge of the industry is not as standard. And so as I have grown Bar Noir, my intention has really been to educate Black and brown folks who are new to hospitality, who are longtime professionals in hospitality, and just sort of tweaking the way that we look at how we have built our careers. And so even in, training manuals, the way that I write about how we talk about wine, for example, there's this one orange wine that I tell people it tastes like collard greens. Like, I'm just gonna be real with you, this tastes like collard greens. And I've had some guests react to that and be like, oh, I get apple. And I'm like, okay, sure, say whatever. But it's okay to say that something tastes like collard greens, they're good. I like incorporating elements like that into how I train folks because we want the industry to be more accessible. We want to embrace the differences in our language. Even on our cocktail menu here at Comfort Kitchen, I have a cocktail called the Espresso Martini. It's meant to be espresso. It's meant to describe African American vernacular English. Sometimes we replace an S with an X sound. And so I want to push people from any culture to not be ashamed or afraid to bring that to the table and do it in a proud and honored way where you invite people in.
So my doctorate looked at how identity changed when space and location changed. When we tell stories, we adjust them every time to a new audience. So when you're moving and you're migrating, you're meeting audiences and new people every time. So you're adjusting who you are and how you tell the story of who you are. One thing I think that I do is to really articulate what being Malaysian means to me. And I think that has been really key because when you move to predominantly white spaces, when you aren't white, people notice and are always asking where you're from. And that can be negative, but it also can be like a genuine curiosity, right? And so for me, it's been really trying to work out what being Malaysian means to me and articulating that.
Two different ways to express your culture. We know a lot of people are like Taiwanese American or Chinese American. They grew up here. The way they do things, the restaurant they open, it tend to be a little bit more because they are really proud of their original culture. You really feel that vibe. You walk in, this is a Taiwanese place, this is a Chinese place, this is a Japanese place. You resonate with that even from decor to the service and the product. Another way is very interesting is like us. We are in the US we call FOB, like fresh on board. Like we grew up in different country and then we moved here afterwards. A lot of people like us at FOB when we open a concept and somehow we not intentionally try to hide the back culture we have. We try to sort of be more subtle of it. So if you walk in Double Chicken Please, I don't necessarily think everybody will say, oh, this is a Taiwanese bar, or it's a Taiwanese or Asian concept. But we do implant that into our ingredients, our small detail in the room, or the message we want to talk about, even the merch we do. I feel more important you incorporate your past and your culture into it. Otherwise, you are like
you get lost.
You get lost easily because when people share with you about their culture, about their things, and then you will like look back and say, what's mine? What did I represent? And what can I bring on the table to talk about it, to have that conversation to start, to share. So it's really important for you to recognize or to go deeper a little bit about your past and your culture, especially when you are encountering a new culture.
One of two things can happen when you're in a new space and your creativity is challenged. You're either going to become a lot more open-minded about where you are and who you're surrounded by and how that influences your creativity, or you're going to sort of double down on what you know. It's very layered because doubling down on what you know can mean being ignorant and closed-minded and never like doing the same drinks and doing the same styles for the rest of your life. But I also find that doubling down on your creativity, I identify with because moving here pushed me to be more insistent about the culture where I came from. And I think that's just important in the industry in general. You really have to be grounded and know yourself over anything else because there's so much transience, there's so much activity, there's so much influence, there's so much opportunity to get lost.
If you're not in hospitality, it's very hard to explain to people what hospitality is like. If everyone has different experiences and backgrounds, etc., you're working together into this space of sometimes even only a few hours of making sure people are really happy in these few hours. And it really focuses you, and then you can work together, and I just think that's really wonderful. It's a wonderful space to exchange stories, really.